Hey, good evening. This is Kathy Beatty with Divorce Support Anonymous, stepping into your life for just a few moments to give you some encouragement, some tools, some tips as you manage through a divorce or life after divorce. I work with a lot of people after divorce too, because there's always the question of what now? What now when I finish the divorce? I don't know where to go from here. And that is really a raw yet sacred time in which you can create a life that you want, an opportunity that is full of potential of what you can become and where you can go and what you can do and the changes that you can make. It's really a beautiful time that many people don't see because they are so wounded and so raw by the divorce. So, I want to talk about perspective and attitude tonight because it's the beginning of the year and it's really a good time for us to look at what do I want? Where do I go from here? What am I thinking? And how do I get unstuck from how I'm thinking? Couple of announcements. Of course, I want to state my next group is forming just around the corner, January 14th, 2025. It will be a hybrid group. If you're in the Grand Rapids area, it will be in person. We will go 10 weeks. And this is an opportunity for you to come into a group who's really going to get where you're at and what you're going through. I absolutely love group. I've been doing this for nearly 20 years now. I've been saying 19 years for a while, and it's time to tick it over and say that it's been nearly 20 years that I've been working with support groups, and it is so incredibly helpful for you. You're going to deal with stuff you didn't even know you had to deal with, and you're going to hear other people's stories that resonate with your story. So I cannot encourage you enough to join this group. I've had people from all over the country. Again, it is hybrid, and I look forward to having you join the group this year if that's where you're at. And some people are after the divorce is finished and they know that they have some things to resolve from the divorce. And some people are in the thick of it, wherever you're at in this process. Even had people 5 years after that realize I didn't deal with stuff. And this stuff now is dealing with me and I need to deal with it. So connect with me. Let's have a chat if you want to talk about it. Or if you just want to join, let me know. I'll send you a registration form. You can sign up and we will let the healing begin. So something else for those of you who have completed your divorce and maybe you've went through my group or another group and you are asking the question, what now? What do I do now? So March 25th is going to be an 8-week group of building your life after divorce. So I have several resources. You probably saw those in the beginning. And what we're going to do is use this next book in the series, book number 2 in the series of building your life after divorce. And we do some really great things during this that we, let me get rid of this here, that we look at all aspects of our life in those 8 weeks. And our whole goal is working toward a new life declaration. And so we look at all these aspects of our life and what are those things that don't fit in our life anymore. And then we become really honest and have discussion about this and how do we make these changes. It's such a good group. It's really a very worthwhile time of 8 weeks. It's very inexpensive. So connect with me if you're interested in that, or put it on your calendar and connect with me at a later time. But first, we've got to get you through it. So let's do the January 14th for 10 weeks. And then immediately following, we're going to do the March 25th of building your life after divorce, an 8-week session. So again, we do have those resources to help that are going to really guide you through, along with the discussion, along with my direction as we go through. How do I build my life? What do I want now? What do I want? And perspective and attitude is a huge part of that. And that's our topic tonight is, what is your attitude and perspective about life now? If you are saying, well, my life is done, I'm just done. Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. I can tell you how many hundreds of times I have witnessed people's lives being turned around after the divorce, and really, when they are intentional on their healing, have a beautiful direction to form and build a new life. So I just want to ask a few questions, make a few points tonight. First of all, how are you seeing your life right now? How are you seeing it? Are you hopeful, or are you not so hopeful? Are you seeing the bright light of the future and all the potential that there is, or are you only seeing dark and confusion and chaos? Well, that's a question to ask yourself. How are you seeing life right now? Give yourself a checkup. And if you really need some help in doing that, then pull out a piece of paper, a journal, and just start writing, asking yourself, how am I seeing my life right now? What do I see? How am I feeling? What's my perspective? What's my attitude in moving forward, not only in this year, but in my life now that I've gone through this very messy and awful transition? How do I see my life? Write those things out and be totally gut level honest with yourself. And if you need help doing that, you can maybe find a friend, a counselor, a pastor who's going to sit down with you and help you really find those words. Because once we identify things, that's the beginning of being able to work on them. If we can't name them, then we can't tame them. We can't control them. They are controlling us in many ways, but we're not controlling that. So, how are you seeing your life right now? Important question to ask. And how much work have you done on your healing? Oh, that's kind of awkwardly phrased. How much work have you done on your healing? Have you just thought, well, you know what? I'm just waiting for time to pass and then I'm going to be all better? It doesn't work that way. You know that we can hold on to pain and trauma for decades. And until we deal with it, it really is dealing with us. So, how much intentionality have you had and work have you done on your healing? Again, important question to ask. Have I been intentional at my healing? Have I gone to a therapist? Have I talked with a pastor, a friend? Have I been able to identify what's going on inside of my heart? There's a huge amount of emotion and trauma that's going on in your mind and heart that perhaps you haven't faced. So, how much work have you done on your healing? And next, what do you do with the negative attitude, with the negative perspective? What do you do with that? What are you doing with that? Are you just sitting in it? There's a quote from a book that I have on my shelf, Healing What's Hidden, by Evan and Jenny Owens. It says this: unresolved grief, and it's a book about grief and trauma, which are the books that I read a lot of. Unresolved grief may seep out as anxiety. Guilt and shame may manifest as depression. Hurt may burst through as anger. One way or another, emotions are going to find a way out. So, how much better if we would direct the way those emotions come out of us? How much better? So, when we're feeling, for example, loneliness, what do you do with that? What do you do with that negative, that perspective? And it is a reality. You may be alone. Doesn't mean you have to be lonely, but you may be alone. What do you do with that? And there are proactive things that you can do with that. You can use this time to create a journal, to start asking yourself, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want my future to look like? Have I thought about that? So instead of just sitting and feeling lonely, use that time to ask yourself those questions, to quiz yourself. What is it that I want? What am I looking for? What would make me happy? How did God design me? What are my gifts and talents? What were my dreams? All of those things that we go through with building your life after divorce. But you can start on this. You can ask yourself these questions instead of just standing in loneliness. You can use this time productively. Or if you're in loneliness, you may need to be the one to initiate a call to a friend or create a coffee time with a couple of friends. It may be up to you because no one comes to your door knocking and saying, "Here's your life." It's up to you. It's up to you. So when you find those lonely moments, ask yourself, what do I need to do right now? How can I use this? I'm going to be honest with myself. I may even write about my loneliness and how lonely I am. I'm not going to deny my feelings, but I'm not going to let them ruin me either. Because if one thing I know about divorce is it has swallowed up and stolen far too much time already. So we need to use these opportunities. Another example, depression. What do you do with depression? Do you just sit and wallow in it? Now, again, I'm not saying deny it. I'm saying identify it. What am I depressed about? What are the feelings inside of me that are causing depression? And again, is it grief? Is it grief just coming out in this way? Do I need ways in which to help me grieve out what has happened to me? Or have I had this false expectation that I just need to stuff it and not deal with it? Well, you can't not deal with it. You're dealing with it one way or another, whether that's coming out in anxiety or something else. You are dealing with it. You're not dealing with it honestly, though. So articulate what you're depression about. Ask yourself, what do I need to do right now? What do I need? Do I need to be heard? Do I need to talk with someone? Do I need to be held? Do I need a friend who's just going to give me a really good hug and let me cry with them? Is that what I need right now? Do I need to be healed? Do I need to find ways in which I can identify this grief and this depression and work on my healing? Maybe I simply need a change of environment to take a good walk. You know, our bodies change when we walk. Our minds shift. The brain chemicals, the good ones, start to be released in our brain. So walking and exercise, singing, different, change your environment to give yourself that break, to help yourself. So what do you do with those negative attitudes? You explore them. You become curious about them. You say, what is going on with me? What is my body trying to tell me that I'm not listening to, that I'm not identifying? Be curious about what's going on with you. And then what action do you need to start? What action, again, like I mentioned, taking that walk, calling a friend, changing your environment. What are those things that you need to do to start? Maybe you need to join a group. Maybe you need to join a women's group, a men's group that you've never been a part of. Maybe you need a meetup group that does bicycle riding or, whatever your interests are. Maybe that's what you need, but you need to start something. And they won't all be wonderful. You may start it and say, it didn't work for me. I joined the gym, it just didn't work for me. I don't like to exercise around other people, whatever. But at least pat yourself on the back as like you did something. You started something. And that's a good thing. So, again, these are just questions to get you moving. How are you seeing your life right now? Take that inventory. How much are you working on your healing right now? Such an important question. What do you do with that negative attitude? Well, you've got to identify it, and then you have to have some options. As we're stated here, if you don't know options, maybe it's time to see a therapist. Maybe it's time to see a pastor. Maybe it's time to admit, I am depressed. I am lonely. And I have people in my group who do that. And I marvel at their courage because they're admitting where they're at. And that is so vitally important because that's what it takes to begin to change. What action do you need to start? What action do you need to start? It's a new year. It's a time to look at our attitude and to look at our perspective and say, what do I want? What do I need? And how do I begin this process to make a beautiful life? Because there is a beautiful life beyond divorce. I've seen it for myself over the past 28 years. I've seen it in hundreds of people that I work with because they were intentional on their healing and they were intentional about building their life after divorce. They have that beautiful life. Couple verses, of course, that help us. Don't conform to the pattern of this world. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, the scriptures tell us. And that is in Romans, I wrote it down, Romans 12:12. That's where it is. Romans 12:12. I ran out of space here. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, and this is such a great verse that when I feel my mind going in the wrong direction, this verse seems to bring me back. It's finally, brothers and sisters, whatever's true, whatever's noble, whatever's right, whatever's pure, whatever's lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. So you ask yourself, is any of this that I'm thinking, is this right? Is it pure? Is it lovely? Is it excellent? Is it praiseworthy? No, it's not. So what can I think on that is? Of course, Proverbs 4:23, quote this all the time, guard your heart. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Being confident of this, that God is at work in your life. And maybe it has taken all this trauma and all this chaos for you to finally realize you need God in your life and you need a savior in your life. A guidepost that's going to walk alongside of you and tell you what's pure and right and noble and praiseworthy and direction in your life. Being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. God is not done with you. God's not done with you. It doesn't matter what you have done in the past. We all have things that we regret as we were going through the divorce or creating the divorce or causing the divorce. We all have those things. And there's only two places for that guilt and that shame. It's either inside of you or it's on the cross of Christ. There's no other place for it. And it is too heavy for you to carry. That is the beauty of the cross. That I can release it, I can give it to you, I can place it there. And be confident that God's not done with me. He's not done with my life. He has a beautiful plan yet to be revealed. So I don't know where you're at in the beginning of this new year. I hope you're doing well and full of optimism and hope and have a great perspective and attitude. But I know that there are a few that are watching this that don't have that because they're discouraged because of the divorce and because of all the loss that has happened through the divorce. I want to encourage you. to participate in your own life again, to begin to hope, to look forward, to be curious. What is it that I can do with this one and marvelous life that I have? What do I want to do? And what can I do? And then pray about it, get a piece of paper and watch it unfold. Those ideas, that creativity, just let it pour out of you. Don't edit it, don't limit it, but just start pouring it out. These are the things that I want. This is what I want to do. This is my gift, my talents that I have. These are my dreams. These are my goals. Allow yourself that gift for 2025. This is Kathy Beatty, walking with you every step of the way through the trauma and after the trauma of divorce. Have a good night.